Hello, my lovely class. Welcome back to our third session. And welcome to StudyWave Academy, where education is without limits. Let's continue exploring our English language, and basically, we are talking about parts of speech. So, right now, I want us to continue exploring what nouns are. We already know what nouns are, and now we're looking at the key concepts to consider when we want to understand what these nouns are. So the first concept I talked about, or the key point to consider, is naming and identification. I explained that. The second concept is person, place, thing, or idea. I also talked about that. And then the grammatical roles, I also looked at that. And now I was talking about the different types. So another key point to consider is that nouns are of different types. We have common nouns, we have proper nouns, we have concrete nouns, we have tangible and intangible nouns. So all these types, or all these different types, are also parts of nouns. Okay, so for example, if you're talking about something like common nouns are just the general names for entities. For example, dog. For example, cat. These are just common names. Mother, country, ocean, sea. These are just general names. Okay, so those are common nouns. You get it? Then we talk about proper nouns. Now these are specific names, like Rover, like James. For example, you're talking about your dog. What is the name of your dog? Tom. You're being specific. Okay, so proper nouns are more specific. When you talk about country, it's just a common noun. But when you talk about London, Nigeria, you're being specific. Okay, so that is a proper noun. So Nigeria is a proper noun. When you talk about girls, boys, those are just common nouns. But when you want to be specific, you use proper nouns. So you'll give names of girls: Mary, Susan, Sharon. But when talking about boys, that is common nouns. Okay, to be more specific, you use proper nouns. And here we're talking about James, Brian. Okay, so these are common nouns. That don't forget about that. Then we have something also called the concrete nouns. So concrete nouns, we have the tangible or physical entities like mountains. These are concrete nouns. Concrete nouns are nouns that we can touch. Okay, we have mountains, we have chairs, we have flower vases. These are concrete nouns. They are tangible, we can touch them. Okay, and then we also have the intangible concept like peace, love. Intangible means we can't touch, we can't see. We can't see peace, we can't touch peace. We can't see love, we can't touch love. Okay, so that is the intangible concept when you talk about nouns. So the types of nouns used in a sentence provide additional information about what is being referred to. Okay, so don't forget about that. So one concept we have to understand is the different types here, or the different types of nouns. Okay, don't forget about that. So the key points to consider when you want to know about nouns is that they are of different types. Don't forget about that. Let's move on now from the key concepts. I hope you understand them. So let me just repeat them before I move to the next concept. Okay, so we have naming and identification, we have person, place, thing, or idea, we have grammatical roles, we have the different types. So those are the key points. If you want to well understand what nouns are, or what these nouns entail, you have to know these key points. You have to consider all these key points. Do you know that nouns are of different types? Do you know that nouns have grammatical roles? Do you know that nouns name places, things, or ideas? And lastly, ask yourself, do you know that nouns are for naming and identification? So once you have all this set up, then at least you have an idea, or you understand what nouns are. So if I was to ask you today to give me examples of nouns, or think about examples of nouns and tell me, will you be at a place to tell me, or will you be free to tell me these types of nouns and explain them to me? Okay, so now let's move on from here and look at the functions of nouns. Let's focus on the functions of nouns. So now we are looking at the functions of nouns. What are these functions of nouns? Or what are the main the purpose of nouns? Okay, so let's move on and look at the first functions of noun. And the first one is subject. Nouns can function as the subject of a sentence, which is the entity performing the action of the verb. Example, the cat sleeps on the mat. So here the noun is our cat and sleep is our verb. Do not forget that the nouns are the subject of the sentence. So that's the first function of nouns. They act as the subject of the sentence, okay? So you have to understand that once you ask yourself questions like who or what is performing the action of sleeping in this sentence here, then you will be able to understand what nouns are, okay? So don't forget that nouns are just they are the subject of the sentence. That is one function that the nouns do. They're the subject of the sentence. So the cat is the subject of the sentence here, and it tells us who is performing or what is performing the action sleeping. So anytime you get a sentence and maybe you just don't know or you're not sure what the noun is, ask yourself who or what is performing a specific action here. So once you ask yourself and answer yourself that question of who or what is performing a specific action, then you'll be able to tell which one is the noun in the sentence. So that is a trick, a simple trick for you to use when you want to identify the nouns in a sentence. So don't forget about that trick I've taught you there, okay? Let's move on to the next function, direct object. Nouns also serve as a direct object of a verb, indicating the entity that receives the action of the verb, okay? She reads a book. So our verb here is read, okay? So you ask yourself, what is being read, or what is being read, okay? What is the action read doing? So what is being read here? And you find that the book here is the one that is being read, okay? So it serves as the direct object of the verb. So it's the entity that receives the action. What is being read, or what is receiving the action? Reading, okay? So you find that book is the one that is receiving this action, reading. So therefore, book is your noun in this sentence. So notice the difference between a noun being the subject of the sentence and a noun being the direct object. When it is the subject of the sentence, it tells us who or what is performing an action, okay? So here I gave an example, the cat sleeps on the mat. Who is being done to the action of sleeping, or who is performing the action sleeping? Who is this doing the action? It is the cat, and therefore here the noun is the subject of the sentence. But when you want to know about nouns being direct object, then you ask yourself, what book or what object or what entity is receiving the action being spoken about? So she reads a book. What is receiving this action of reading? You find that it's the book, so the book is your noun. So a book is the direct object showing what is being read, the action there. So do not forget about that function too. So let's move to the next function. So I want us, as we move, we are understanding each functions of noun. We're understanding what they do or what these functions really mean, okay? So don't forget about that. So those are the two functions that we've talked about so far. So let's move on and look at the next function, okay? Let's look at the next function here. So indirect object. So we've looked at direct object. Now we're looking at the other function, indirect object. Nouns can function as the nouns can function as the indirect object, specifying the recipient of the direct object. Do you get it? Nouns can act as the indirect object, specifying the recipient of the direct object. Let me give you an example for you to understand even better. She gave her friend a gift. Look at that. She gives her friend a gift. So we have one direct object, or one object that is directly doing the action, and another object in the other end, or the other object on the other end receiving the action. So the first sentence here, the first part, she gives her friend. So she gives here is the verb. Giving is the verb, the direct verb that is being done. She gives her friend, and the friend here is the indirect object. Okay, she gives her friend a gift. So what is being given here? It's the gift. And who is being given? The friend. So we have one direct object and another indirect object. So she gives her friend a gift. What does she do? She gave a gift. So what direct action was done? Giving the gift. So gift become our direct object, the direct action that was done. Okay, so she gives the friend a gift. So who received the gift? It's the friend. Now this is the indirect object that received the action. Do you get now? So her friend is the indirect object telling us who is receiving the direct object, now the gift. Okay, so what is being given? The gift. That is the direct object, or the direct thing that is being done, the gift. So the gift is the direct object. Okay, now who is receiving the gift? The friend. Now the friend becomes the indirect object here. Do not forget about that. Okay, let's move to the second function here, and that is object of a preposition. Object of a preposition. Nouns are often used as the object of a preposition, indicating the relationship between other words in a sentence. Nouns are often used as the object of a preposition, indicating the relationship between words in a sentence. For example, the book is on the table in the library. The book is on the table in the library. Now you notice that there are nouns that are used as the object of a preposition. So for example, the book is on the table in the library. So you find that on the table is the preposition here, and we talked about preposition showing where something is, or the location of something. Okay, so the book being our noun here, the book is on the table in the library. So the book is our noun here. What is on the table? You ask yourself, what is on the table? It's the book. So the book becomes our noun here, and the noun here is on the table, and on the table here is our preposition showing us where exactly, or the location of this book. Don't forget about that. Okay, let's move to the second function, and that is subject complement. Nouns can function as a subject complement or predicative nominative. Okay, so don't mind about this word, the predicative nominative. Let's talk about the function here being subject complement. Nouns can function as the subject complement, renaming or explaining the subject of the sentence. She is a doctor. I gave this example earlier. My mother is a doctor. So you find that she is a doctor. Is the verb here. And again, when you talk about verbs, we'll talk about different verbs and helping verb, and you'll find that is an example of a helping verb. So let's continue and look at this sentence. She is a doctor. So there's a compliment that is being given on this lady or this girl here, and the girl is a doctor. So it's adding a compliment to what we know about the girl. So she is a doctor. The doctor word here is the noun. She is a doctor. It's a subject complement. It's complementing the noun. Okay, so she is our noun here. Okay, she, but we don't know who she is. But the doctor is the subject complement noun here. It's giving a compliment on whoever is being talked about. Okay, so a doctor is a predicate nominative, re-identifying or renaming the subject. So we are renaming this girl here. She's not just a girl but also a doctor. So we are re-identifying it. So that is another function of the noun. Okay, the next function of the noun is appositive. What do I mean by appositive? What do I mean when I say appositive? Nouns can also appear as appositives, providing additional information about another noun in the sentence. My friend Alice loves to travel. So you find that this appositive is just additional information about a noun. So you have your friend, but she's not just your friend, she is your friend Alice. Do you get it now? So my friend Alice loves to travel. So Alice here is an appositive, offering more details about the friend. So you can as well say my friend loves to travel. That is very, very correct, a very, very perfect sentence. But because you want to use the appositive nouns, which just give an additional information about the noun, then you go